Oh, sorry, I'm going to talk about this. So I'm just going to briefly talk about some interventions we can do about the brain, okay? So the first thing we do is brain training. If we feel, oh my God, we're scared about childbirth, we flip it. We flip the perspective immediately and we think about something nice. We think about something really positive because we know there's nothing to fear. We know our bodies can do it. I've seen it in third world countries, in developing countries. I've seen it. And the
Mm.
other really cool way to brain train, and this has a lot of scientific evidence behind it as well in sports, actually, when athletes have a really bad injury that leave them out of the game for 6 months or so, what they actually do, and this is scientifically based, okay? So they access a theta state of being. Now, what is a theta state of being? If you're not familiar with it, it's
Oh,
this.
I've got to think it yet, but it's your brainwave patterns.
Absolutely, it's a brainwave pattern. So we've got alpha, beta, theta waves.
Yeah,
So it's the frequency of our brain waves.
yeah,
So when we're in a theta state, we're in a deep meditative state. We are connected with the now. We are connected with what is within us, what we were talking about before. And this is also a highly suggestive state. So strangely enough, when you're a kid, we are in theta state up to about 5 to 7 years old. That's why you can't
mm.
reason with a 4-year-old because they're in this theta state of being. It's highly suggested. So they're actually being programmed, and so we can actually program our brain in a theta state of being. So we can do that by getting into a deep meditative state. How we do that is just through our breath. And it
Yeah,
takes practice, yes, but we can do it. The other way we can do it is just before we go to sleep. We get into that theta state just before we go into sleep. So we've all heard about affirmations in preparing for childbirth. The affirmations of my body is designed to do this. I have what I need within me right now. All those affirmations, and
yeah.
they're fine. They actually really help with changing our neural pathways on our conscious level. But how we can actually change these neural pathways on our subconscious level
Mm.
is we have the affirmations, we get into a theta state, we talk about the affirmations within our body, we visualize the end product. So we don't visualize the birthing process. We visualize our baby in our arms and feeling incredibly elated with that huge oxytocin rush that we get once our baby is born. We visualize that and we feel it with that heightened emotion as we're in the theta state of being, when we're in that deep meditative state. Now, it does take some training to get into this, and you can't do it at 36 weeks. You actually have to do it early in pregnancy. But it is really cool to do. And it has the most incredible success rates for people that do it in childbirth or for childbirth, and incredible success rates that has been documented over and over and over again in elite sportsmen. When they're out of the game, they get into a deep meditative state and they use affirmations, they use visualizations with that heightened emotion. So you've got the trifecta there. And they visualize them. So if they're a star basketballer, they actually visualize them actually shooting all those incredible, amazing baskets. And so when they actually start training again, they are not only at the same level, guess what? They've actually improved their skills.
Yeah, that sort of rings a couple of bells of the things I've heard.
Yeah, yeah. So our body really takes care of ourselves insofar as what I said, when we first find out are pregnant, we've got that, oh my gosh, one day I've got to actually, this baby has to come out, and that freaking out about that initially, to actually processing it to the end of our pregnancy. And we can also do that and attack our subconscious mind, that programming in our back, from
Mm,
this little exercise now that has been rooted in scientific evidence. Pretty incredible, eh?
it is.
Yeah. And meditation, I am a huge fan of meditation. Have you heard of the bee meditation, Liz?
No.
So this is incredible. I've actually got the DOI there. There's actually been a couple of studies about it in pregnancy, and that's been heavily, there's a lot of scientific evidence in non-pregnant women and men as well, in actually calming the mind and actually really calming anxiety and helping depression as well. And how you actually do it is that you put your little fingers in your ears, well, not in your ears, in that little lobe
Yeah.
goes in there. And so you're actually forming that seal of your ears. And then you just hum, like a bee. And that actually produces a vibration that goes all the way through your body. It
Okay.
goes through into the amniotic fluid in your baby and goes into your baby. So that vibration actually raises the vibration in your body. And if you know anything about the vibrations in our body, is that the higher we vibrate, the higher we vibrate love, acceptance, joy. It's actually deep rooted in scientific evidence by Dr. Is it David Hawkins or Richard Hawkins? I can't remember, but Dr. Hawkins, he was a prominent um, psychiatrist, and he's a prominent, he's got a PhD and is also a psychiatrist, and he is an authority on energy, frequency, and vibration. And this is actually incredible.
Yeah, I've used the bee in a breathing technique.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I certainly hadn't come across that study.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's
Mm,
really, really cool.
but yeah, that vibration is very powerful.
Mm, it raises our vibration, dude. Like good,
Mm.
good, good, good vibrations. You see, the Bee Gees knew, not the Bee Gees, Beach Boys knew about it back in the 60s. We knew about vibrations back in the
Oh
60s,
yes,
man.
I know. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Good, 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 good vibrations. Yeah. So that is actually really, really powerful. And if you look at people, yoga teachers that do a lot of pregnancy yoga and the pranayama breath, they know about the bee meditation.
Mm,
Yeah. And there's also the breathing techniques that the hypnobirthing uses, where you breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4 and breathe out an extended 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
yeah.
And what that actually does is that it actually activates our rest and digest system,
Mm,
our sympathetic nervous system, and so we're in a calmer state. And that's why it really works in birthing. Hmm, interesting, isn't it?
yeah. And anyone who's does does any breath work at all will use one of those um, breath style for for that relaxation. And it's um, apart calming and relaxing, but increasing lung capacity. And also when you do that, um, particularly for the nasal breathing, you're increasing the amount of nitrous oxide you're taking into your system. Yeah, there's a whole, yeah, it's become, it is very, very effective.
Massively effective. Massively effective. And it's been repeated over and over and over again. The other thing that's really effective is calming music.
Mm.
You know, I remember years ago, Liz, I was friends with a pediatrician at a workplace at a hospital that I worked at. And he was telling me about when he was doing his consultancy exams. He had a 3-month-old baby, and his wife was also doing some heavy exams as well. And if you know anything about, I know you do, about exams to be a consultant, they are full on. They are massive. It's months and months and months of study, and it's really in-depth study. So both of them had this 3-month-old baby. They were absolutely stressed out. Now, before they started to study for these exams, he said, our baby was just the perfect baby. It would breastfeed, sleep, poop, breastfeed, sleep, poop. It was so settled. It was like clockwork. They had the magic baby. They thought they won the lottery. And then when they started to get stressed out with their exams, baby, guess what? Became unsettled, became really unsettled. So he was actually like this with the baby throughout his exams, and the baby would go from him, through the study, I should say, and the baby would go from him to his wife. You know, they could not put their baby down. And but the really interesting thing is when they put on classical music, the baby just flopped in their arms
Yeah,
because they listened to a lot of classical music when the baby was in utero, when the baby was in the tummy.
yeah, and there's all those studies have also been done um, with bubs whose mums have been on drugs, and those
Yeah.
babies, as we both know, are very unsettled babies when they come out. And the music therapists would actually ask the mother, "What sort of music did you listen to while when you were pregnant?" And if they played that music to that baby, it would calm them. And believe me, there was quite a range, and it certainly wasn't classical. But yeah, the baby would respond to um, whatever music the mother had listened to in pregnancy and calm down.
Interesting. Interesting, isn't
Mm.
it? It's
I
really
think
interesting.
it was back at, I heard this, I went to this talk. It was about the time where heavy metal was very much in vogue. Now, I'm not a heavy metal fan, but a lot of these women were, and that's what their babies responded to.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I thought it was pretty amazing, even that back then.
Exactly. And it just is another little example of how when a baby is inside a mother's uterus, when they're in utero, that they're actually susceptible to what's happening outside.
Oh, very much.
You know, it's just incredible. It's just incredible. And the other thing, now that we've just talked about music, is basically between our lungs and our internal organs. So as we are breathing abdominally, we're doing so many things, aren't we? But I'm just going to be starting with the diaphragm first. So abdominal breathing is when we move our belly button out on the inhale, and then on the exhale, our belly button comes towards our spine. And as we're doing that, we're actually maximizing the movement of our diaphragm, just like this. So I'm just going to show you this. You see how it's going up and down, up and down, up and down. So as it's moving like this, it is actually massaging our internal organs. That's number one. So by massaging our internal organs, it's also moving all that energy around our organs. It's actually helping with the large bowel, with the colon, actually helping moving all of that. It's helping our liver, it's helping our spleen, it's helping our stomach. So it's moving it all around. So potentially this can actually help alleviate a lot of those pregnancy symptoms that women experience. Number one. Number two, by moving our diaphragm in that fashion, we are maximizing the amount of air, aren't we, that enters our lungs. Because as you know, the more you get pregnant, it actually displaces our internal organs. So what I mean by that displacement, I don't have a video of that, but all our internal organs are sort of moved up and to the side. So as we breathe, we are most likely, if we're breathing from our chest, we're only actually moving between about a half to 2/3 of air into our lungs, into our full lung capacity, if we're breathing from our chest. So what that does, as you know, is that it actually decreases the amount of oxygen that is going around our bodies, our oxygen that is going into our babies. And secondly, if we do this abdominal breathing and we breathe all the way into our 4 lung fields, it actually decreases our likelihood of developing lung infections. And thirdly, or fourthly, I've forgotten what number I'm up to, because a lot of our parasympathetic nerve endings are down the bottom of our lungs and our lower lung fields. By actually doing this abdominal breathing, it activates the rest and digest system. It activates those nerve endings. So we can really ground ourselves. Do you have anything more to add to that, Liz?
No, they're really good videos.
Mm.
Very, yeah.
And just the benefits of abdominal breathing when you're pregnant is incredible. Absolutely incredible, because by practicing abdominal breathing, if we get really stressed during our day, because as you know, when you're pregnant, we can just be really, really flighty. Our hormones are going up and down like crazy. We can actually sit down or stand up or whatever and deeply abdominally breathe. We can do that for 10 to 20 seconds and center ourselves. And our body is just so different. Our mindset is so different. We are centered. We are together. We are here. We are now. And that has implications to our baby as well. So it's really interesting. Really, really interesting. Now, the thing is with abdominal breathing, you've really got to do it before your abdominal muscles separate, particularly if you're not used to doing it, because if you're not used to doing it, you try to do it in your 3rd trimester, you're going to have a hard time in doing it. What do you think, Liz?
Definitely. It's something we should all be doing every day, pregnant or not pregnant.
Yeah, and that's my main form of breathing now.
Mm.
And I've noticed a huge difference in my energy levels. I'm way more centered now than I
Oh,
ever
it
was
makes
before.
a huge difference to your energy levels, and you, with the amount of practice we've both done, you certainly pick up whether, if you're not breathing properly and you're pulling yourself up, I pull yourself up a lot faster and really work on having that abdominal breath, good chest expansion, um, really working that lung field as efficiently as you possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've actually got a friend of mine who started abdominal breathing in her 1st trimester. She really had to learn how to do it, and um, luckily I was a really good saleswoman, and I was able to really talk to her about the benefits of abdominal breathing. And so she abdominal breathed all the way through her pregnancy. Now she's a school teacher. Hello, little doggy. There's a little doggy there. And so she's a school teacher, and normally 2/3 at the end, 2/3 of the way through each term, she normally comes down with a really bad flu. Now, you know, when you're pregnant, as you know, your immune system goes down. It's a natural physiological thing in pregnancy. So she was fully expecting to get really, really sick, and she went through the terms and she never got sick. She never got a lung infection. And she attributes it to
Yeah,
Qigong and abdominal breathing.
yeah. Because she'd had that better lung capacity,
Yeah,
but she'd also um, between her breath work and stretches and that she was doing with the qigong, she improved her immune system,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely toned. Her body was in a lot better state at that
yeah,
point of her life than she would have been back at the beginning. She
yeah,
would have, yeah.
yeah. And by doing this abdominal breathing, when you're actually going into the birthing experience as well, it really sets you in good stead to really, really, really numb out that pain
Oh yeah,
massively, massively. You just get into that beautiful meditative state.
and the studies on breath work in general have been around for a long time. They're only in the last few years starting to be brought out to the forefront and talked about a lot more,
Yeah, and it's
and the
become really
benefits of it.
trendy,
Mm.
becoming so trendy now. There's breath work everywhere.
Oh, yeah, it's picking whose whose breath work is good and whose breath work is okay, but and we all get our favourites. That's just the fact of life.
Yeah, just like our Qigong masters.